In a quiet town in northern England, a tragic accident shattered a family. But what came next would haunt them and the world for decades. This is the true story of the Pollock Twins. A story that has puzzled scientists, psychologists, and believers in the paranormal. Was it a case of reincarnation? Or something far more disturbing? In 1957, in the small town of Hexham, Northumberland, John and Florence Pollock were devastated by an unimaginable tragedy. Their two young daughters, 11-year-old Joanna and 6-year-old Jacqueline, were killed in a car accident while walking to church with a friend. The woman driving the car had reportedly taken too many drugs and lost control of the vehicle. All three children died instantly. The loss crushed the Pollocks. But while Florence grieved silently, John clung to a strange belief. He was convinced, absolutely certain, that his daughters would come back to him. He believed in reincarnation, and he believed that his daughters' souls were not gone forever. A year later, Florence became pregnant again. To their shock, she gave birth to not one child, but identical twin girls named Gillian and Jennifer. From the very beginning, the twins displayed eerie behaviors that no one could explain. Though they were identical in appearance, Jennifer had a strange birthmark on her forehead, exactly where Jacqueline had a scar from a fall. She also had a similar birthmark on her waist, the same as Jacqueline's. But it wasn't just the birthmarks. As the girls grew, they began asking for toys that had belonged to Joanna and Jacqueline, toys they'd never seen before. They knew the names of the dolls. They placed them in the same positions the older sisters had. When the family moved back to Hexham after living briefly elsewhere, the twins, who had never been there before, began pointing out landmarks. They recognized their old school. They insisted they'd played in a specific park. They even knew the way to their grandparents' house without being told. Florence and John were rattled. The girls began showing preferences that matched their dead sisters exactly. Gillian behaved like Joanna, mature and protective, while Jennifer was more babyish, like Jacqueline. They even had nightmares of being hit by a car. When the twins were around 4 years old, the memories, if that's what they were, began to fade. By the time they turned 5, they no longer made strange references or recognized places they shouldn't have known. It was as if whatever had been inside them had slowly slipped away. Years later, Gillian would recall fleeting memories of places she had never visited, like playing in a sandpit at a house she had never lived in. A house where Joanna and Jacqueline had once stayed. Many experts dismissed the story as coincidence or parental influence. Perhaps the girls had overheard stories and repeated them. Maybe the parents, especially John, were unconsciously guiding their daughter's behavior. But there was one problem with that theory. Florence had never believed in reincarnation. In fact, she was deeply opposed to the idea. She refused to discuss the dead sisters around the twins and actively tried to suppress any comparisons. So how did the twins know what they knew? The case of the Pollock twins remains one of the most famous alleged examples of reincarnation in the modern world. It was studied by Dr. Ian Stevenson, a respected psychologist who documented thousands of reincarnation cases. He considered the Pollock case one of the most compelling ever recorded.
Skeptics still argue over the details. Believers call it proof that death isn't the end. And some say, maybe it wasn't reincarnation at all. Maybe something darker attached itself to that grief-stricken family. We may never know what truly happened, but one thing is certain. The story of the Pollock twins continues to chill the spine of anyone who hears it. What do you think? Was this a case of reincarnation or something else? Let us know in the comments, and remember, not every mystery has a comfortable explanation.